So my name's Laura Archuleta, and I have the privilege of serving as the president and CEO of Jamboree Housing Corporation. I've been in my role for just over 22 years, so a long time. Prior to that, I worked in city government. My goal was to be a city manager because I wanted to improve cities and neighborhoods and communities. And then fell in love with Jamboree when I had my daughter who's 24, and I thought, I'm not sure city managership is the right job to have when you're trying to raise a family, and came to Jamboree and have not left. And it's because of the partnerships and the people like all of you is what has kept me at Jamboree, because we're able to do such amazing projects. And I have these glasses with me today to help me see as I've aged, but of course to try to keep the wind and the dust out of my eyes. So again, thank you everybody for being here. In a few short months, although I was asked, would it be a year and a half, somewhere in there, in a few short months, the site we stand on today will be transformed into 59 affordable homes. These units here, these homes, will help individuals, working families, vulnerable seniors, and those with special needs find a place that they can call home. And it was nice to be able to get here and talk to some of the folks who've grown up here in the city and hear about the changes, right? The housing costs impact everything. At Jamboree, we believe that housing is really the platform for strong community health. It includes having the ability to keep a job, to have your kids go to a local school, to be able to not have to work 2 and 3 jobs to support your family and buy healthy food. So it just spins off. It has the ripple effect far beyond just the housing unit. So we're extremely excited about this property. So at Jamboree, we're 30 wonderful years old, and we have a history of working on these types of projects, but we have not built a development in Butte County or with the city of Chico. So this is a first, and it wasn't till now that we could actually call you a partner and be part of the community here. And the partnership with the Jesus Center and turning this property into Park Avenue. So Park Avenue, again, is going to be more than just an affordable housing community to Jamboree, and so many of you in the audience. It represents the true power of community. You'll hear from 4 different community members today, all with different perspectives on the importance of this development, but all committed to the vision of building a stronger region that uses affordable housing, again, to transform individual lives, neighborhoods, and the broader community. When Jamboree began exploring our ability to help develop Park Avenue, we were struck by the commitment of the community to a vision of affordable housing that serves the most vulnerable amongst us. And actually just yesterday I was talking to one of our development partners who we've worked with down in Santa Ana, California, and they were saying that they actually have a development up here and how good it was to work with the community up here. So the message goes far and beyond just the partners that we have built these partnerships with. A housing development here will provide, again, more than just homes. It's hope for the community that has been devastated by some natural disasters over the past recent years. Multiple fires over the last 4 years, including the 2018 Camp Fire, has reemphasized, of course, the need for affordable housing and the development in this community. And of course, layered onto that now we have the pandemic. And the pandemic has really shown a very bright light on the need for housing in order for people to stay safe and healthy. We're committed for the long term in ensuring that Park Avenue will serve the residents of Butte County well, and are thrilled to take part in the development that will now set a new tone for the South Gateway to the city of Chico. And that commitment from every partner here today is what will make this property a success. And Park Avenue will become a beacon of hope for the entire community. Butte County, the city of Chico, Butte County and the city of Chico understand that housing is a platform for service delivery and community revitalization, and that's why they're such a great partner for us. These 59 studio 1, 2, and 3 bedroom homes would not have been possible without the leadership and commitment of the County of Butte which is why it is my pleasure to introduce the Champion for Housing Solutions, 3rd District Supervisor, Tammy Ritter.
I did not bring my glasses. I just printed it in this gigantic font. So it's not quite as long as it looks. But so before I begin, I would like to thank 2 people. Tracy Davis, who is our program manager with the County of Butte, who's out there somewhere. There she is. And Liz Stewart of the Barber Neighborhood Association. Liz is sitting right here. Liz is a former librarian, now historian, and is responsible for a lot of the research that Deborah did prior to this. So thank you both for all of the information. I'm delivering Supervisor Lucero's words because she is unable to be here today. So just pretend that I'm Deborah and this is coming from her. Progress is a delicate thing. On one side, our community is about to gain a wonderful new affordable housing project. On the other side, we are about to lose a piece of history, but for a good cause. On the county side, we're assisting with this project with $659,000 from Butte County's Community Development Block Grant Disaster Recovery Multifamily Housing Program. The City of Chico is providing more than $1.3 million for this project of the $24 million project budget. There will be 58 affordable housing units, as you heard, which will be designated for special needs housing. I won't go into all of the specifics regarding which vouchers will be used and for which population, because probably most of you that are here know even more about that than myself. What I want to talk about is the building behind me. This building was first constructed 116 years ago in 1906 as the Chico Ice and Cold Storage Company, and it was headed by A.G. Eames and his brother Henry Eames Sr. A.G. was the president, his brother Henry became the manager, and over the years, it has been modernized and enlarged many times. A.G. also owned the Chico Soda Works and distributed a number of sodas, beers, and mineral waters. On July 4th of 1907, this plant began manufacturing ice. Before that, ice was brought down from the frozen lakes in the Truckee area by train. In the earlier years, horses were used for the local deliveries. Distilled waters were produced here for use in ice making and sodas, and the source was both city wells and city water. Walls were insulated with sawdust. The plant was on the Northern Electric Railway line. In 1911, the Eames brothers converted from steam to electricity, and it appears that the Union Ice Company purchased this plant in '26. While we think of this business as an ice house, by 1929, they advertised the sale of coal, wooden mill blocks, fuel oil, all used for heating. Fruits, vegetables, eggs, meats were all stored here by groceries, meat markets, and families. And then, as home refrigeration and freezing became more prevalent, the services that were offered here declined. The Union Ice Company operated until 1976, and this marked the end of the well-known Chico facility. In 1980, it was purchased by 2 men, Kevin Fisher and Bob Kellogg, who 3 years later opened the Ice House Mall. Since this was only 40 years ago, some of you remember the Park Avenue Steakhouse, casino, lounge, and jazz concerts in the Crystal Room, theater productions, a bartending school, and a jewelry store. My colleague, Supervisor Lucero, has long been involved in historic preservation. With more than 4 generations in Butte County, she has taken a keen interest in telling the stories of our community and highlighting how we have arrived to where we are today. As a relative newcomer to Chico, I've only been here for 24 years, my history with this location, the Jesus Center, and affordable housing has a different focus. Affordable housing, shelter, and housing stock has long been the focus of my career. From the early nomadic days of the Torres shelter, when we shuttled to and from the Jesus Center meals, even at its earlier location at the Newman Center, from the Salvation Army Sunday dinner, Faith Lutheran meals, I have had the honor of working with the early directors, Katie Toma, Bill Such, Laura Kutsana, and now Amber. I've been lucky enough to partner with our organizations locally, Habitat for Humanity, Chico Housing Improvement Program, Chico Housing Action Team, Housing Tools, and the tireless housing advocates like Ed Mayer, Debbie Villasenor, Charisse Allen, Casey Hatcher, Sherry Morgado, Dave Ferrier, Marie Demers, and past elected and staff of the city of Chico like Colleen Jarvis, Dave Berklin, and Dennis McLaughlin, who had the foresight to set aside land and money for projects just like this. It is the partnership with our nonprofit partners, our local governments, and our for-profit partners, and our multiple funding partners that make projects like this possible. I could not be more proud of this community and the progress we are making. So thank you all.
So Supervisor, in acknowledging all the folks that you've worked with over the years, what always strikes me is that these types of developments, they just don't happen. And we have a wonderful partnership right here, but the long time advocacy work that goes into education and advocating for this type of change is just years coming before a development actually is birthed. So it's wonderful to have you call them out and actually talk about it here, because I see that in the communities where we work. So thank you. Affordable housing development, as mentioned, takes a lot of different players, but the city is key. And so here we have our city partner who understands the importance of these types of developments, and we're honored to have found this partnership with the city of Chico. And with us today is Vice Mayor Casey Reynolds. I'd like to ask her to come up and talk a little bit about this development here in her city.
So speaking of glasses and printing, my printer decided to run out of ink this morning, so I get to try to read from my phone. But welcome to you all. This is such an exciting event. This day has been talked about for years and years. I remember sitting around a round table with Laura and Jim Marie 3 or 4 years ago at a church, even just having the initial conversations about this exciting project. So so exciting to be here. I'm so grateful to see this project following through with the city's vision of revitalization for the South Park Avenue area. So many businesses on Park Avenue have had amazing vision, and the city has had amazing vision. And so I'm excited to see it keep moving north. It seems like a lot of it's been happening down there, so it's great. Historically, it's wonderful to see that this location is still going to remain to serve our most vulnerable populations. So what it's been doing here for years and years, it's going to be continued to do, and that's great. As a city, we have a general plan that has a huge housing element part to it, element goals. And this project is actually fulfilling a lot of those goals, one of them being the development of units in a corridor opportunity area. Development of small units, the studio, 1 bedroom and 2 bedroom. A lot of times we see the bigger places being built, but not the smaller, so that's great. And units to serve extremely low income households and those with special needs. Thank you so much to Jamboree for choosing Chico to build one of your amazing projects. I've followed and seen some of the stuff that you guys have done, and it's just absolutely wonderful, so we welcome you. The relationships that you guys have built across the communities, every community that I've ever looked at that you've worked, they've always spoke so highly, and we're looking forward to having that same relationship here with you. Thank you to the Housing Authority for providing 43 project-based vouchers to this awesome project. And the great part about that is the voucher stays here and continues on and is not going to go with the client. So we know that 43 of these 59 units that we're building are going to continue to serve that population, which is just awesome. And last but not least, I want to do a call out to our amazing city staff. And I'm sure I'll forget somebody, but Brendan Vieg, Marie Dimmers, Mr. Mark Orm, our city manager, and Jen McCarthy, who actually started working on this back when she was at the county, and we're so blessed to have her here now. So she got to work on it from both sides. But our city staff, as I was walking around here today for the first half hour talking to people, I can't tell you how many people came and said how impressed they were with the city of Chico and the city of Chico staff, and how wonderful we work are, that they go into communities all over, and that's not the response that they get everywhere. And so to thank you to Chico. So thank you to our city staff, thank you to the Housing Authority, Jamboree, and we are so looking forward. And I'm so blessed because my office is actually right across the street, so I get to watch this happen for the next year and a half, front row seats. So thank you all.
Well, so now we know who to call if we have questions about what's going on at the site. We can, the eyes on the site for sure. So thank you. It is my pleasure to ask Ed Mayer to come on up and say a few words. Ed is the Executive Director of the Butte County Affordable Housing Development Corporation and is just instrumental in bringing Jamboree here and this development.
So it's wonderful. We have rare opportunity to celebrate the construction of affordable housing. First of all, good morning on this brisk and chilly February 1st. I see hopefully not too many of you are shivering at this point. But we're amongst friends here, and this is good reason to celebrate. We have an affordable housing project about to be delivered to this community, and a housing project that involves an incredible partnership amongst some really tremendous partners. This project in particular shows the strength of this community and the players who work in the community. And I wanted to just sort of emphasize that for the clients this building will serve, this is an extraordinary project. 39 of these, or 43 of the units supported by housing vouchers, the clients will be allowed to live here without regard to their income. So we'll be able to admit persons with zero income, and we start with their lives there and build their lives up using the supportive services provided. So that's extraordinary. Also here in the south of the community, Southgate, the Housing Authority and the Butte County Affordable Housing Development Corporation operate the apartments across the street, the 1200 Park Avenue apartments for seniors. These two gateway affordable housing projects really set the tone for this part of Chico. And I say this part of Chico, it's really special. It's the Barber neighborhood. And the Barber neighborhood has this historic building behind us, but the entire urban fabric around us. And this area is in transition, let's just say. And this is a constructive, I believe, addition to this community as it grows. And should be, I hope, a wonderful contributor to the Barber neighborhood. I wanted to speak to the special funding that came together to make this project possible. One of the financing sources is federal low-income housing tax credits. Well, those are allocated every year by Congress. But in this case, it was a special allocation of disaster credits that was made after the Camp Fire disaster. Congress passed a special allocation, a special act that allocated these credits that made this project possible. In addition, the federal government's community development block grant disaster recovery funds, which are used for gap financing on this project, they came from the federal government through the state to the city and the county. So these sources of funds were really critical. This is a project that is a function of disaster response. And when I say disaster response, we've seen 3 wildfire disasters in our neighborhood in 4 years. We've lost 16,400 units of housing in those disasters. We have lost far more housing than we have built in those years. So we are now working with permanent refugee populations, most of whom are low income and elderly. We find them on our streets. These are the households least able to respond to the disaster, the households with least resource and least recourse. So we are actually able to deliver services directly to those most impacted by the disaster. Fabulous. I wanted to take a moment and introduce my commissioners. I have 2 commissioners here, the chair of the Housing Authority Commission, David Pittman, who's a council member in Oroville, and also sitting next to him, Rich Ober, who's in the neighborhood here. He's actually a Barber neighborhood resident. So very grateful to have them here. So finally, I wanted to just end by saying I thank Jamboree, because Jamboree Housing Corporation, I've been aware of their existence for about 15 years. I've known Laura for many years. I've always wondered if we'd ever get Jamboree to come up from Irvine to do work in Northern California. And, you know, out of disaster, out of crisis comes opportunity. And quite frankly, we have Jamboree here as a function of our disaster. Well, they do wonderful work. They're a wonderful and committed long-term nonprofit. The Housing Authority, through its nonprofit development instrumentality, the Butte County Affordable Housing Development Corporation, is actually part of this partnership and is the link, the bridge from Jamboree Housing to the community. So this project will always be connected to the community. You don't have a third-party developer from Florida operating this project at a distance. This is a local project with local influence. So thanks to our partners, Banner Bank, CREA, the tax credits indicator, enormous amounts of money are coming to this community by way of investment for projects like this. The city has been a fabulous partner, the county, fabulous partner, lots of talented people. Laura, and then Catherine McFadden, who actually, without her labor, this project would not have come to bear. Again, the amount of horsepower that a project like this takes, and it's about 3 years worth of work here, very hard work, is not to be underestimated. So we thank Jamboree for being here, and thank you all for your support.
So you can see the difference for those elected officials here to have staff, whether it be city staff, county staff, housing authority, have staff that know how to get the bucks and bring it back to the community, right? That's what it's about. We're all taxpayers, so let's bring that money back so that it can improve our community, and that's what you saw right here. So thank you, this is fabulous. So I want to talk a little bit about our financial partners. Both of the partners with us today at Jamboree, we've known for a long time. Richard Shea is the Senior Vice President of CREA. Richard has been in the tax credit syndication, tax credit world for over 20 years because I have run into him and had dinner with him and worked with him for a very long time. We're excited that he could be a partner and bring in the investments. So the way affordable housing works is you apply for tax credits, you compete. So our Northern California team headed that up with Catherine and the team, and we were awarded them. And then you go out and you sell them on the marketplace, and based on the strength of the development, the strength of the developer, the community partners, they make a decision whether or not they want to buy them and for how much. And in this case, CREA came forward and said that they wanted to partner with us on it, and we're excited to be their partner. And I'd like to ask Richard to come up and say a few words.
Good morning, everybody. I can't tell you how excited I am to be here this morning, genuinely. Not only because we have a wonderful project that's going to be built right here on this site, but also the fact that we're actually together. And it's just so nice to be among everybody. And you know, this project came through during a very challenging time. We couldn't be together. We couldn't really commiserate in the way we usually do to get these things done. So just so happy that we're all here together and celebrating this wonderful groundbreaking. On behalf of CREA, I want to thank Jamboree for allowing us to partner and bring over $22 million of capital into Chico to help build this project. It's a wonderful accomplishment. We couldn't be prouder to be part of that, and we're very, very happy. As I said, this project took a lot of patience, and as others have mentioned, it was a long time frame, but people hung in there, and I just have to tip my cap to the entire development team. From a national perspective, we work in all 50 states. We have a lot of experience with different developers and different groups, and this was the right team for this project. There were a lot of challenges, a lot of different nuances, and I can't tell you how fortunate we all were to have the partners we had in this partnership to get this done. I'd also like to recognize Banner Bank. They are not only the lender on this project, but they're one of our investors in the project as well. So they served two areas of support for this project. And I also want to say this has a little bit of a soft place for me in my heart. I used to come up to Chico when I was in college. I had a lot of my I had a lot of my friends who went to Half Moon Bay High School with me that went to Chico State. I actually ended up going down to San Diego State, but came up here and actually saw the Chico State football team play back in the day, and that was a big night here in Chico, and I remember it well, I think. But I had a lot of fun here, and it really is a special place for me as well. And as I was driving up here this morning, I had some very fun memories to think about. But finally, I really want to appreciate and recognize Jamboree. As was mentioned before, and this is again from a perspective of all 50 states, Jamboree has its heart in the right place. I know that's part of their saying, but it really is true. They care more about their residents and about the cities they work in than they do about themselves. And that is a characteristic that I think Laura, as leader of this organization, brings to bear. And I have known her, as she said, for many, many years. Michael and Catherine, all three of them really make the people and the communities they serve their priority over everything else. And so we're all fortunate to have them as a partner and to be working together with them to bring this great project to fruition. So thank you again to everybody, and congratulations on a groundbreaking. Can't wait to be back for the grand opening. Thanks again, everybody.
Thank you, Richard. Yeah, lots of fun stories, I'm sure, at the college up there, for sure, right? So as we celebrate this kickoff of construction, I'm excited to ask one of our financing partners to come on up. Banner Bank is one of the newer banks that Jamboree's been working with. We're excited to work with them on this development. They are headquartered right up here in Northern California. We work with Wahid Karim. Wahid has been a partner of Jamboree's for a very long time. At his prior bank, we've done several dozen deals with Wahid. He knows how to work with our team and get projects closed and financed. So we're really excited that Wahid and Banner Bank and the Banner staff that are here, thank you for your going the extra mile to make this project happen. And we'd like to ask Wahid to come on up and share a few words.
Hi there. So I'm here to speak before Richard Shea. I'm after Richard Shea, who's a partier, and also Amber from the Jesus Center. So I have to do well. On behalf of Banner Bank, I would like to thank Jamboree Housing Corporation to allow us to be part of this project and this team. We at Banner Bank are committed to invest in affordable housing in California, Oregon, Washington, and Idaho. Our headquarters is in Walla Walla, Washington. Last year, we invested over $362 million in affordable housing in these areas, and we are committed to invest even more this year. I've worked with Jamboree, like Laura said, for over almost 17 years, closed 22 projects with my other bank, and we closed 2, and we're going to close another 2 within another 2 months. So thank you. And thanks again, Jamboree, for making California even better. And we are committed to do more, and I'd like to thank Ed, Richard, Catherine, and Laura, and many more. And one thing I have to say, that the one person I miss the most at Jamboree is Marcy Fenimore. She passed away, I think, last year. We miss her the most.
Thank you, Wahid. Yes, so we, at Jamboree, it is really about the people. It's the people in our partnerships and people in our company. And we did lose our longtime CFO last year, passed away. She'd been working over 20 years, so she'd been with me when we first started. There were just 3 or 4 of us at the very beginning. And she worked closely with our banking partners. Like, that really is, obviously it's key to these projects. You're going out and you're getting investors, you're getting lenders, and we are a nonprofit, right? People say, gosh, can a nonprofit grow like that? And we can, but we have very professional staff, and Marcy was just top notch. We miss her terribly, but she was committed to Jamboree, and we go on. And we go on with this wonderful work. So thank you, Wahid. So kind of keeping with the history note, I'm really excited to ask Amber Abney-Bass to come on up and talk to us about the Jesus Center, about the history here. And it's very rare to find a partner like this with such history, such commitment. And we're so excited to be partnering with you on this development, and hopefully more in the future. So come on up, Amber, and share some stories with us.
One of the best parts of being last is that I can be brief and you'll be grateful. 20 years ago, this property that we're sitting at today actually became the home of the Jesus Center. And in the back row back there, Miss Katie Toma was armed with a strong belief in supporting those in our community who were most in need and had a never quit demeanor. And I think that that's still the truth today for Katie. We're so grateful for you. Katie tells stories about relocating from another spot on Park Avenue to this location and what that meant for their organization, for the community, and most importantly for the people that they served. And it was one of the first times that a commercial kitchen was actually able to prepare a meal to welcome folks in a dining room and to sit and just be rested and be able to be someplace that felt safe, that felt restorative, and just felt comforting. I think that when Katie and I were talking about that, and if you've been in this building at all, Laura Kutsona, the former director at the Jesus Center, and some of my colleagues, we have a lot of stories about this building behind us. I know that for me personally, when I pulled in here 8 years ago, this is probably the last thing that I imagined, and I am so excited to be here today sharing this with you guys. We've had a lot of folks come in and be restored here and blessed in this building, and that didn't happen alone. It didn't happen simply by the staff or the community. It happened just in partnership. Not one of us has the ability to impact the lives, but together we're really changing large groups and just changing direction, giving them faith and belief that their lives are worthy and that they have the potential of living a life that perhaps even they have given up on. So we're grateful that this space has always been a place of restoration. Not long after Katie relocated the Jesus Center here to Park Avenue, they opened an emergency shelter for women and children upstairs. Ironically, even in the last days of our time here on Park Avenue, so many of our community members had no idea that that work was going on upstairs. In some of those last years, we saw 300 and 400 women and children that were able to come in and have a safe spot to be able to sleep and to be ready for what the next day brought to them. Of course, over the years, we served thousands of meals in this dining room. We had many laughs, some tears, miracles that went on in this building, and some of the probably most unusual places. I think we have stories from every corner to every stairwell, and a few even in the bathrooms that our staff could share with you guys. Just over a year ago, the Jesus Center relocated its headquarters over to Fair Street. And, you know, one of the things that we are so excited about the legacy of this property is, as you've heard from other speakers, is just its legacy of service. The idea that this community and this space will continue to give back to those in need, to those that are often forgotten, and instead we are making those folks a priority. And I think that that's something that blesses our entire community. I know you guys have heard several themes from speakers today, one of which is how wonderful the city of Chico and the county of Butte, Jen, when your time there, and how they contributed to this project. But I just want to say to you guys that we were in those meetings and those moments when we saw Jamboree being truly amazed and blessed by the responsiveness, by the availability, by the guidance of our city and county leadership. That was something on more than one occasion that we would say, oh, you need somebody? Well, I've got their number, we'll call them. And they said, what? And so I just want to tell you guys that your communities, these members of these groups worked so hard to make today possible. And the last thing that I want to say is just about Jamboree itself. We had the great opportunity over the last 4 years to get to know so many members of the Jamboree team. And while today's my first time meeting Laura, I just have to tell you that each member of your team that has come into this space, who has served, of course we appreciated and enjoyed Jeree, we will miss her on this project, but every single one of the folks that work for you today have just been such a blessing to us, They've incredibly contributed to our community. They contributed to the vision of the Renewal Center and the Jesus Center's efforts over on Fair Street. And so I just want you to know that our experience up close and personal has been that they are very committed to the communities that they serve. And I believe that in the days to come that the balance of the community will be able to appreciate and experience what a blessing Jamboree is. So thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Amber. Well, we're honored to continue the legacy on this site and for the community, and we are grateful for you to trust us in our partnership. So I know it wouldn't have happened if the Jamboree team hadn't met your expectations. So thank you. Right? For sure. Yeah, I do want to take a moment to thank the Jamboree team, everybody that's working on this development, from Catherine and her whole team, Michael, the team in Irvine that supports her, as well as the construction crew who's going to be here building it and getting it ready. All the consultants that come together, the services team that are working to make sure that the services on the site here are going to meet the needs of the residents, and everyone else, including our Dawn and the team that put together the event today. So thank you very much. Thank you. As Richard mentioned, it is great to be here in person, so thank you, and wonderful to have it outside, so hopefully a bit safer than being inside, so thank you for that. Some of you have called the offices. We are getting calls wanting to know when folks can get on lists to move in here, so we will be accepting applications as we get further along. You can follow the progress on our website or from across the street, right? And see how things are going. So again, thank you all for joining us. We're going to be taking some pictures, and I definitely hope to see all of you here at the grand opening. So thank you.